You're listening to Heroes in the Moment.
What's up, heroes? I'm Michael.
And I'm Nathan.
Today, we're doing latest superhero news.
Part three.
Yeah, that is correct.
3.
So I really love doing these podcasts, so I'm excited to dive deep. So today we got a stacked schedule, so I was surprised because I was thinking this week's news might be
drop off a little bit.
But I have quite a bit. Obviously not near as much as Comic-Con, but I do have quite a bit to talk about.
Right.
So
lay it on me, baby.
we're going to talk about, MCU-wise news. We're going to talk about some Star Wars news, and we're going to talk about some DC news, and then we're also going to talk about my experiences at the Raleigh Galaxy Con this past weekend, and my experiences going there and witnessing some cool Q&As with some amazing actors and characters.
Hype.
And seeing some stuff like that. So we're gonna dive deep into that. So first, right off the bat, we're going to start with the MCU because obviously it is at the top of the, I don't know what you say, the figurehead.
Food chain.
Top of the food chain, yes.
I guess right now in cinema.
Top of the food chain of cinema, so we're going to start with that. So we got some news. This is shocking news, actually, because obviously a couple weeks ago, it was rumored and leaked the trademark titles for Avengers Kang Dynasty, the Multiverse Saga, Captain America New World Order, and as well as Avengers Secret Wars. And those all, of course, became true. So obviously we've got some new trademark titles that we've not heard of that possibly be, announced at D23 that I'm going to talk about that was rumored or leaked recently. So first one we got to talk about is Avengers Eternity Wars.
Eternity Wars. Is that all we know? Just a trademark?
That's all we know is just the trademark.
So,
I mean, it could be false. This trademark could be false, but since the past one was
have been true, I don't think as the fans we have too much reason to doubt that it isn't. So I guess my question would be, when would that take place?
Exactly.
Obviously, the two parts are coming in middle 2025, right?
Yeah.
And that's 6 years since Endgame.
Right.
So I feel like it wouldn't be too off to throw some in before but it is Eternity, so
it's Eternity Wars. So I'm wondering what could that be about? Maybe the effects of Eternity had in Thor: Love and Thunder? Or
I feel like it would have to be before Secret Wars.
You think so?
I feel like that's building up to it, yeah.
Yeah, so possibly an Avengers film before them too.
Maybe include the Eternals in some way.
Yeah.
Obviously the Celestials.
Right. So that one was interesting to me. I hadn't I was completely I was like, another Avengers film after two were just announced that could possibly take place before the two parts 1 and 2. So I mean, I'd be okay with it. And Eternity Wars is a pretty good title, but I'm like, are they overusing the term wars? Infinity War, Eternity War, Secret Wars,
Endgame War,
Endgame Wars, Age of Ultron War, the Avengers War.
Just War Machine.
War Machine.
Oh, dude.
He's the next big person.
Dude, he's getting his own.
He's getting his own. So that was
goodness.
one. Another trademark title that we have, because we have a couple, is Captain America Red, White, and Black. So this is a reference, obviously, to the comic book Captain America Red, White, and Black, where Isaiah Bradley is Captain America. So this is a question I'm wondering if this is a possible Disney Plus series about him as Captain America in the past.
Ooh, I could definitely see that. And I really think, dude, that could be freaking amazing.
It could be.
Right. Well, what would that be? Set in the 50s?
50s era, yeah.
50s era, seeing him, what's that, World War? Would it be World War II?
It'd be Korea, somewhere in there.
I think that'd be interesting. And even if it wasn't, even if they decided to switch it up and make it a part 2 or whatever for Anthony Mackie's Cap, I think it'd be just as good. But yeah, I mean, they got no reason to introduce a character in Falcon Winter Soldier and then just drop him off.
Just drop him. And then it would be interesting to see him, his run as Captain America, in the 50s after the death of Steve Rogers. So that would be cool to see.
That'd be crazy.
I was a little bit surprised too, because I was wondering, nobody really asked for that, but at the same time, it would be an interesting character to explore in the past. But the only thing is, though, is where would it go? Because it wouldn't go anywhere.
And I feel like Disney would easily fall into the whole, the racing, which obviously plays a big part. But I feel like very easy, if the writing's not done well, it can come off as super political and in turn, turn away a lot of fans. So I think it'd been done really well. But like you said, where would that lead into?
Yeah.
I don't know. But
still interesting nonetheless to talk about. Next up, another trademark title for the MCU is Nomad. Nomad.
I don't know what that one's about.
So Nomad obviously is a character from Marvel Comics. Steve Rogers was Nomad at one point in period, but this was, I think we already kind of got a glimpse of Steve Rogers as Nomad in Avengers Infinity War because everybody calls him that. That's the Nomad version of him.
Really?
But I don't know if this would be a Disney Plus series or a movie. I wouldn't think movie. I would think more so Disney Plus series. But still, I'm like, why would that character specifically? Like, I could see them introducing Nomad as a character because he has, several different roles.
I've never even truly heard of him, to be honest, Michael.
Yeah, so there was like several different people who've been Nomad in the comics. Steve Rogers being
like,
one of them.
What is the role of Nomad? Like
he's very similar, like Captain America type, but like doesn't have powers, but skilled combat and stuff like that.
Okay.
But maybe like Disney Plus show wise, but I'm not
Bucky!
sure. It could be. Maybe Bucky
I want
turns
to
into
with Bucky, man.
Maybe they write it in the MCU where Bucky turns into Nomad and dons himself and calls him Nomad instead of like the White Wolf. He calls himself Nomad, and it's a show about him. That's
I know.
Very
I'd be
possible.
down with that.
I mean, I'd be okay with that. So I'm not sure, but we'll see. Next up, I'm assuming this one's a movie, and that one is Celestials: End of Time. So my question about this one is, I think this is going to be Eternals too, and they're just calling it Celestials instead of Eternals.
Celestials: End of Time.
End of Time. So I'm thinking,
how would that even go?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it might be Eternals too.
That almost seems like too soon, though. Like,
right,
to play into that whole time and
right. But I mean, this is probably going to be like 2024, 2025, but which would be shockingly enough 3 years after Eternals. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Where all the Celestials die.
Right, unless it's just a movie genuinely about Celestials and how Celestials came into being in the MCU. I don't know how I'd feel about that.
I don't think that would do very well, to be honest.
I feel like the most likely thing is it would be Eternals too.
It would have to be Eternals too. I don't know. It would have to be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Could be.
That's what I'm saying.
The closest thing we have to that besides Eternals is like freaking Love and Thunder, where we get to see their faces on poles, whatever.
So,
I don't know.
I don't know, but I mean that one intrigues me because I was just thinking it probably is Eternals too.
Yeah,
and they're just changing it to Celestials because obviously half of the Eternals got kidnapped by the Celestial at the end of Eternals, so maybe it'll bring about the rest of the Eternals. Along with Harry Styles going after them. So I don't know.
He's got a future coming up too.
He does. We'll talk about that here in a few minutes as well. All right. So real quick before we get to that, that was 4 trademark titles. So that was
I haven't even heard of those.
Yeah. So
I'm
I
hyped
just saw those. Yeah.
I'm glad to hear this.
Very interesting. So next up, we got to talk about the news of MCU's, of course, the Marvels movie.
Well, bro. The rumors say it's supposed to be in parts a musical.
That's what I was going to talk about. Yeah. Well, I heard another rumor that's saying not necessarily a musical, as in Kamala Khan just breaks out in song in the middle.
We'll see the part. I could see her doing that. She's like 16, 17.
But it's more like Guardians of the Galaxy vibes, as in the music is highly involved in this movie. Is what I've heard. Instead of being like a full-on musical where we see like Brie Larson and Kamala Khan and of course
Monica,
join hands and sing a song. But
I do think what the Guardians had going really well for them that other teams struggle to create is that sense of family. That's what we've never done. We've never seen it done super well in something like a Fantastic Four. Sometimes even the Avengers. Like it's hard to get that feeling of a true cohesive family. Obviously, James Gunn killed it with the Guardians. But if they're gonna throw in these 3 characters for the first time and then expect it to, kind of have that same, not like relationship, but that same kind of like camaraderie as something like the Guardians, I don't think it's gonna do well.
I agree. I mean, obviously,
unknown factors.
I mean, for me, I really like Monica. I mean, she's probably the standout best.
I do think she's the best too.
Out of the Marvels. So, I mean, if they make her the main character, I would be completely okay with that in this movie. But I did hear that they're making like Monica the more serious version of out of the 3, and then they're differentiating them by Kamala being inexperienced and the teenage girl, and then Brie Larson bringing a little bit more of a, I don't want to say like comedic, a team leader, but more.
That doesn't make sense to me. I feel like Brie Larson, she's never been comedy. No. She's straight serious layer, bro.
So I don't know what they're going to do with that, but I don't know. I feel like, this movie has a lot against it because the fans obviously did not like Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
And, for reasonable effects, I do think it is underrated. I think it's not as bad as people make it. I think just Brie Larson's what's bad for the MCU in general. Yeah. But I do think if it wasn't Brie Larson, I think, Captain Marvel would be a lot more liked, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I want it to be better. And I do wish I want it to be good. But I just can't see it. If I'm being completely
I mean,
honest,
it's definitely a sequel, right?
It's
to
definitely a
Captain Marvel.
sequel.
So
Yeah.
it just doesn't make sense already. When I think personally, we haven't seen enough of Brie Larson's character
Yeah.
that you're throwing in these two other characters who arguably could potentially have more screen time than her,
Yeah. and
due to
are
the
more
fact that-
popular.
yeah, and are more so. Like you said, I'm very on the fence.
Yeah.
I'm kind of worried about
I don't
it,
know, but we'll
no,
see.
that's Marvel's problem, not mine.
That's exactly it. When we can hate it no matter what.
Yeah, we will.
All right.
Probably.
Next up is another huge leak, and that would being Shang-Chi director Destin Daniel Cretton will be possibly doing Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. How do you feel about that, Nico?
If so, it's hard. I haven't seen much of his other movies. I've seen him. He was involved in The Shack a while back. He's involved in some some kind of popular but not super popular movies.
Yeah.
That's just the first one that comes to mind. But when I'm thinking of the freaking Avengers, I'm thinking of someone who's able to kind of incorporate the whole timeline of each of the
Right.
characters' stories. Who's able to pinpoint what each character is good at, what they're bad at, and then kind of put that all into like a 3-hour movie.
Right.
I mean, even the Russo brothers had the most experience, and they, in some cases, still struggle with that, not being able to fully show.
Right. I mean, they did a
you
good
can't
job
show
for what they
everything.
had, but
Exactly,
yeah.
but
it wasn't perfect.
for doing it for the first time, the biggest thing we've seen from him is the end fight scene in Shang-Chi, which I wasn't a big fan of, to be honest. Shang-Chi, the more I've seen it and thought about it, it's a better movie than what I initially thought.
Yeah.
But just handing a project, I think, this big to someone who's just done an
know.
origin story
Yeah.
is like
And I think
uncharted territory.
part
for
of
them.
that reasoning is the success of Shang-Chi and the popularity of that movie and everybody really, really liking that movie, which I enjoy it, just not as much as most people do.
Yeah.
And I think part of that's a big reason, but I'm optimistic. I'm an optimistic person anyway.
Yeah.
But hopefully he can deliver. But I feel like, Marvel knows what they're doing. And, they prove that time and time again. So to give this big of a project to this director, I feel like they can have faith, and then obviously they may just can him if it sucks.
Yeah, if it sucks, I definitely think there could be some delays in the future if the first reviews come into trash.
Unless they he writes like a script and then they're just like, that's awful, and just get rid of him. Or
I'm
something.
still waiting for Christopher Nolan just to do whatever he wants. With
I
a
don't
Marvel
think he
movie.
would, but
He never would.
No,
but
man, it'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
That would be so cool.
Yep. Next up, like we talked about earlier, we got to talk about the rumors surrounding Harry Styles, who apparently signed a 4-movie Marvel contract as Eros.
It's like for $100 million.
Yeah.
It's like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, so 4 or 5 movies for $100 million, which is crazy, and I think it's cool because they're kind of revitalizing this character, like a dope, cool character, like a funny little team that he has. I think it's cool. It could definitely give some more backstory into Thanos, but that's a W move, as the kids say. For Marvel, they're taking the potentially biggest pop star currently in the entire world, and they're giving them a role.
Right.
If you're not a Marvel fan now, teenage girls, you will be. You'll be watching Harry Styles movies regardless if you like superheroes or not.
I'm a little bit on the fence. I feel like, I've been seeing comments. Most of the people who heard about this being all the comments were Mega L Marvel, L.
Dude,
So
he's an underrated actor.
He is.
I know you really didn't like Dunkirk, but I really think his performance in Dunkirk was really good.
Yeah,
I loved it.
And he does have another big movie coming out with Florence Pugh later this year.
Dude, that looks good.
It does look good. So
don't worry, darling.
Don't worry, darling. Yeah,
I'm excited for that one.
I'm wondering,
really.
Maybe with that benefit, but let's just talk about real quick. If it's true, what 4 movies? Because it's a 4-movie apparently contract. What 4 movies could we see?
I feel like number 1, it has to be Eternals 2,
which could be Celestials End of Time.
It has to be Celestials End of Time.
Right.
I think a second one possibly. I don't know. I think Eternals 3 is
it's too far away.
But I definitely think I could see him in both Avengers movies.
Kang Dynasty, Secret Wars.
Kang Dynasty, they're gonna have to pull
minor role,
and we'll see if they pull him in. The Eternals are going to be in it.
Yeah,
I think regardless. If you got to throw Kang, you got to.
So
pull
that would be
Eternals.
3. So maybe possibly a Guardians of the Galaxy 3, maybe appearance cameo.
That a cameo maybe in the end or something. I don't know, but that does seem likely.
Yeah,
I can't see him in Thor.
No,
to be honest, or any of the other.
Possibly
heroes.
Thor 5. I mean, I don't know.
Eternals, Guardians of the Galaxy, 2 Avengers. I think that makes sense.
I think that makes sense. So we'll see with that. But I feel like if it's just now been released as 4-movie contract, Guardians of the Galaxy would be one of them, and that's already been filmed. So I'm wondering, like, maybe it just now came out.
Yeah,
or
that's a confusing thing.
For later, and it's not Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the
I don't know.
details of the contract go.
So that was interesting in and of itself. So, next up, we got to talk about something that we're a little bit sad to talk about for you guys, because we did initially plan on doing a full trailer breakdown for the She-Hulk trailer.
We did, I promise.
But the amount of content that we've had to deal with this past couple weeks has been insane.
I know.
So we're just gonna talk about the She-Hulk trailer now for you guys a little bit. We're not gonna go full hard into it as much as we'd like to. But we'll talk about it a little bit more and give you some of our thoughts for the She-Hulk trailer real quick.
Facts.
So first off, right off the bat, CGI still does not look good.
Yeah. It looks a little bit better, but that's not saying a lot.
No.
When it was absolutely atrocious.
Right.
Like we've addressed it before, and we'll do it again. Marvel puts their VFX artists on a really short timeline and expects great results.
Marvel, Kevin Feige,
realistic.
Listen to me now.
Give it time, baby.
Take your time.
Take your time.
We don't need this much content this fast.
Dude, this show can be goated.
It could be.
But it's going to be a train wreck.
And it still might be. I don't know.
You know,
it still might be.
If the CGI sucks.
I know.
Watch, it's going to be carried by Daredevil. Yeah.
And it's definitely a comedy, obviously shown by the trailer, for sure. Which, obviously, I'm okay with that. If they're marketing as that, I'm okay with that. Instead of, like, not marketing as that.
Yeah, but it actually is comedy because it's bad.
Yeah, so that's not cool. But who knows? It could be pretty good. I mean, I don't think it's going to be personally, but I think it could be. And then obviously we get more of the training montage. I'll talk about that for a second. Yep. And part of that I don't like, actually I hate, is that they're seemingly trying to make her stronger than Hulk. And I hate that.
This feels like one of the final nails in the coffin. I mean, we saw how the Russo brothers treated him, but like, I mean, we know She-Hulk is strong. But I mean,
she's not that strong.
Yeah, obviously she's powered, right? She's related to him through blood. But man,
I know. And I mean, it's like it's seriously like the people who are creating this took let's piss off fans 101.
Yeah.
Because
for dummies.
Like legit, because fans are not going to like this at all.
And to be honest, just like from a visual sense, like, you know, they're not giving her any CGI, you know, she doesn't bulk up or anything when she turns, like, she literally just turns green.
She turns green, gets a little
taller. To be able
taller.
to explain that she's stronger when there's clearly no visual difference, it's just hard to
wrap your brain around, man. That much visual difference in the comics, and it is blatantly clear that Hulk is stronger in the comics than She-Hulk.
Yeah.
She-Hulk is just kind of, I mean, she's strong, but she's not Hulk strong. And Hulk has done, I mean, the MCU has done Hulk dirty countless times again. Yeah. There's only a handful of movies that
Ragnarok
did well.
And the first two Avengers.
Ragnarok was decent. I'm still a little bit disappointed because I felt that they made him a little bit too smart, to be honest.
Too smart,
he talked too much. But Avengers 1 was fantastic. Avengers Age of Ultron was pretty good.
Yeah.
And then the Incredible Hulk movie, the way they portrayed Hulk was good. The movie wasn't, but the way they portrayed Hulk was.
He was a beast.
So
I mean, I guess, Michael, you could always count that off to being he's Professor Hulk now, along with the brains that he got. He lost some of that pure rage, which gave him the strength. So I see how you could explain it like that, but that's not the case.
And it's still disappointing because we don't want Professor Hulk anymore. We want Hulk to Hulk out. And who knows, we could get that.
Well, especially, you know, we've lost Cap. We've lost Iron Man. We've lost Black Widow. We've lost some big comic book names, some big MCU names. Like, Hulk is one of the biggest, and you're gonna deprive us of that. And you're gonna deprive him.
I always hold out hope that at the end of this series he may Hulk out again and lose control, and that will lead into a possible World War Hulk project in the future of the MCU, which everybody would rave over, especially if it's a movie and especially if he's full on Hulk. That would be amazing, and I would love that.
Universal still owns him, so he can't have his own solo. So it would have to be like a. Like in the Mutants film, like Wolverine
versus Hulk.
Versus Hulk.
Dude, that would go so hard.
I know!
Like,
it would go
just
so hard.
They have the formula.
I know.
Use it.
Listen to us, Kevin Feige.
Please, Kevin Feige.
We got the ideas.
Please.
Please.
All right. Again, I'll talk about real quick. The fourth wall was broken in the show, which I'm excited to see that because it is from the comics, so I'm excited to see more of the fourth wall breaking.
do it.
Yes, so she has that ability too, so that's cool. Also, we got to talk about the cameos real quick because we're going to get several cameos from the show, one being Frogman, Abomination, Titania, and then obviously there's rumors of a possible Ghost Rider and the Thing cameo.
Wow. Well, I feel like Ghost Rider kind of has to be. I mean, we see in the trailer the Johnny Blaze picture, man.
Yeah.
And that's the first visual, confirmation we've had of Ghost Rider.
Correct.
Which is so cool. He's such a dope character.
He is.
But I do have a hard time seeing him in a comedy show.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
he's not.
He's gonna be in court. Oh, this guy just took these 3 guys to hell.
Mhm.
Like you can't play that.
I feel like
stuff out in
Blade's
court.
more of a better introduction for Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think everybody would go crazy if they saw him make his MCU debut. I would love it. And the thing, obviously it's been rumored that the Fantastic Four cast is going to be sprinkled through the MCU before their movie, kind of like Spider-Man, Black Panther were before their movies. So that would be cool to see maybe him make an appearance.
I'm down with that. I'd be excited. I wonder how they do the CGI. Imagine the CGI for the Thing if it's that bad. I don't know. But.
I know. And it also seems like Abomination's going to have a pretty big role in the show. But I also think, this is my theory, complete theory, 100%. You're hearing it
All right,
first,
let me hear it, man.
I think at the end of the show, there will be an end credit scene, and Valentina, Madam Hydra, as we call her, will recruit Abomination.
Yeah.
For the Thunderbolts.
Especially makes more sense now. We got Thunderbolts confirmed.
I think that's 100% going to happen, and I feel confident in saying that.
Okay.
It just seems pretty obvious.
Yeah, well, like, what else would they go?
Exactly.
With Abomination premiere?
And then we see Wong show up as well, and he's really becoming the Nick Fury of this phase.
He's in everything.
He's in everything.
Look, man, I love Wong as next is the next Wong lover. But like, I also feel for my boy Benedict Cumberbatch.
I know, like what?
I was rewatching Multiverse of Madness on Saturday, and I was just thinking to myself, if there's ever time to kill it, it should have been in that movie.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. So
we'll see. But.
It was crazy, but I wonder why he was showing up. But it does make more sense now. From Shang-Chi, we see him and Abomination. And when he takes Abomination back, it is the same cell from She-Hulk.
Yeah.
That he takes him back.
He's his legal guardian.
So I don't know exactly where it fit in, but anyway. All right. Next up, obviously, is our biggest one. We got confirmation and a cool comic accurate suit of Daredevil.
Dude, I'm so hyped, man.
Now, this actually will be Daredevil's first MCU appearance because, now, hear me out here.
I'm listening.
Daredevil didn't appear in Spider-Man No Way Home. Only his counterpart, Matt, showed up. So,
Ooh,
so technically, this will be Daredevil. So.
First Daredevil. I'm excited. He got the comic accurate red and yellow. And from what we saw, it doesn't look cheesy. I know it can be hard to translate costumes over, but this one looked really good. And if you notice closely, like some of the same, like at least like finer parts of the suit, like the belt and higher up in his chest, they're the exact same as the ones from his suit in the Netflix Daredevil.
Yeah.
So I'm hyped. They're not ditching that suit. They're like they're working with it. So it's cool to see kind of this like rebirth into it. But I definitely think Charlie Cox is gonna steal the show.
Oh yeah.
I'm rewatching it through a third time on Netflix. I love it. Sorry, not Netflix, Disney Plus. Sorry, Disney. But I'm excited, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I still can't believe he's coming back, man.
Yeah, I know. It's super exciting.
Him and Spider-Man now on the street team, as Kevin Feige said, leading it. Like, what better duo for the street team, dude? That's just
100% great duo. And I'm excited to see them interact officially.
I know. That'll be funny.
So, as Daredevil and Spider-Man instead of Matt Murdock as lawyer, too.
I want to see him school She-Hulk as a lawyer, too. Because Matt Murdock, I'm pretty sure, is a goated lawyer.
Oh, yeah. So that would be awesome as well. So I'm super excited about that. So that includes us talking about She-Hulk, and that concludes our talk about the MCU. So now we get to move on to Star Wars, which actually had some really interesting things to talk about as well.
Yeah.
So Star Wars actually had some leaked trademark titles as well, which is really interesting for movies.
Hit me, baby. I'm ready.
So first off, trademark title is Star Wars: The Galactic Circle.
What?
Yeah,
it's like the round table, but it's just in space.
Star Wars
I don't
Galactic
know.
Circle.
Galactic
I
Circle.
think it's kind of cool. If I'm being honest.
Galactic Circle.
So I'm excited for that one.
What could that be about, man?
It's a
What's
movie.
a Galactic Circle? Is that like a bunch of planets in a circle?
You'll have to listen to my next two. That'll make it a little bit more
Okay.
clear. So Star Wars: The Galactic Circle.
Galactic
Next
Square.
up, we have Star Wars: The Great Circle.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm dead serious.
This is dumb.
It's the Circle.
Great
trilogy.
Circle?
The
What's
Great
with the circle?
It's a Star Wars new trademark title. Star Wars: The Great Circle.
The Great Circle.
The Great Circle.
What's the Great Circle?
I guess it's the Circle of Life. I don't
Did
know.
an Oreo man.
Mufasa shows up and Darth Vader.
Like he's in Star Wars.
Yes!
He's in Star Wars.
How genius.
I knew that. I see what they're doing.
All right. So, and then next up, our third, rounding out this apparent Circle trilogy is Star Wars: Circle of Resistance.
Circle of Love. Circle of Resistance?
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
Bro. I mean, I haven't been a huge fan of the recent Star Wars movie names.
Yeah.
But naming giving circle and everything.
Right.
It just seems unoriginal.
Let me
and not
give you some
creative.
more insight, a little bit of these titles. So obviously, it seems like it could be a trilogy, or it could possibly be, and I've heard this around, that it's one movie, but these are the 3 titles that they're deciding between,
Got you.
and they just already trademarked them, and that they're deciding between them.
That's right. To be honest, I think that's more likely than the whole trilogy of circles.
Unless
man.
these are just filler titles as well to throw us off the scent of what they're planning for this trilogy. This possible Star Wars trilogy. So personally, out of Galactic Circle, Great Circle, and Circle of Resistance, I think probably the best one's either Galactic or Circle of Resistance.
I like Circle of Resistance.
Circle of Resistance probably the best.
Galactic Circle.
Probably the best Circle of Resistance, but I think it's really interesting. So
early predictions. The circle is going to be like this part in the galaxy that contains a certain number of planets, and those planets, their people are going to have to rise up and fight the threats in that specific realm of the galaxy. I don't know.
I have no idea, because this is probably far off. So I don't know.
Yeah, come back to this podcast.
So we'll see
in future years.
Yeah, probably. All right. So also, it's theorized that Ryan Johnson has been rumored, or no, I think it's pretty much been confirmed to have a trilogy.
Bro, please no, man.
And well, hear me out here. So Ryan Johnson, obviously, having a trilogy, and this possibly being that trilogy, or of course, this could be one movie that could be Taika Waititi's movie, or it could be Kevin Feige's movie. That's possible.
All terrible choices, except Kevin Feige. Taika. Give it a chance for Star Wars.
He's done some Mandalorian stuff, so he could be doing that. But here's my thing with Ryan Johnson. Okay,
we see what he's done,
right? But hear me out here. So a lot of people, been hating like Ryan Johnson sucks. I'm so mad about what he did with Last Jedi and all of this stuff, and I completely understand that. But we have to realize some other stuff. He did Knives Out. He produced Rogue One. And for the most part, he was given Last Jedi by what J.J. Abrams did.
It was
in
a
Force
rewrite.
Awakens. It was rewritten a bunch of times.
Yeah.
He wasn't the writer. He was the director. And it was visually stunning, The Last Jedi.
It was.
I'm going to say that.
More so than possibly the other two.
Right. And it has a couple of redeemable qualities, and I feel like the direction isn't that bad. But maybe it was just the things going on with Star Wars that time, the whole sequel trilogy, J.J. Abrams, the whole ideas going on there that made him struggle, that possibly having a trilogy that is completely, it's been confirmed, it's going to be completely disconnected. It's going to be a brand new story that's not Skywalker Saga.
Yeah.
And maybe he could do a good job here.
Yeah.
I'm going to give him some props. I mean, I mostly blame J.J. Abrams for the sequels. Yeah. So I'm going to give him another chance, just because I feel like he was limited, because we've seen him direct the crap out of some good movies like Knives Out. So we can maybe see it again.
Hey, listen, man, I can't even lie. You kind of sold me with that pitch. Rogue One is one of the better Star Wars movies.
For sure.
Really good.
For sure.
But dude, Knives Out is one of the better, current murder mystery series. It's completely different, but like you said, the stuff that he's had kind of full control with, he's really excelled with.
Right.
And to see him with a new story.
And he is doing the Knives Out sequel as well, so Glass Onion.
I'm excited. Dude, there's a billion people on that cast.
Yeah, so.
But no, I guess, yeah. I ain't too.
So obviously, I don't hold him up and be like, oh, he's the greatest ever. I'm so excited.
He's a GOAT director, man.
I'm not saying that at all. He still could fail tremendously, and we can hate him again for that. That's completely okay. But I'm just, bringing up some points of possibility.
Yeah.
That we could possibly see it from him.
Okay.
So I'm hopeful. I'm a little bit hopeful, because I would love to be back in the theaters watching a Star Wars movie.
I know.
That's just me.
With that cinematography.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, so that concludes the Star Wars discussion. Well, kind of, because we're going to talk about some other stuff. So right off the bat, now we're going to talk about my experience at Raleigh GalaxyCon. We're going to discuss that a little bit and give you some, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? First insights.
Yeah.
That you guys probably have not heard of before. So that's really cool. To give you some brand new insight that you may not know. So that's really cool to be able to give this opportunity. So right off the bat, GalaxyCon, I went Raleigh on the last Saturday, July 30th. Super, super great time. Long day for me, but it was a super great time. I mean, rubbing shoulders with all these great actors and awesome people. I got to meet, for you Stranger Things people out there, I got to meet Grace Van Dyne, who plays Chrissy, otherwise known as Chrissy Wake Up. in Stranger Things, I got to meet her. She's a super
Get
sweet
those
person.
digits, boy.
I know, right? If you're listening, remember me. But she's super, super nice. And a lot of the other actors there,
He loves the
great,
gaming channel.
great environment. But the best standouts, of course, got Brendan Fraser, super nice guy as well,
Dude,
who's
legend,
going to
man.
be in playing allegedly Firefly in the new
Firefly.
Batgirl movie coming out later. So that's cool.
Mm.
But the big two Q&As I got to witness, and if you guys follow my TikTok, you would see some clips I posted. And if you guys also have seen my Instagram or whatever, you would also see there. But anyway, Clone Wars Q&A, I got to sit in on the Clone Wars cast, being Ashley Eskin, who plays Ahsoka Tano, James Arnold Taylor, who plays Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Matt Lantner, I think it's pronounced, who plays Anakin Skywalker. In Star Wars: The Clone Wars, I got to sit in their Q&A, and man,
Wow.
I had such a blast.
What were some of the best questions
So,
from the people?
Obviously it was a Q&A, so the audience got to ask a lot of questions. So some of the best questions for you guys that you might would want to hear is one question in particular that really caught my attention. That's why I videoed it.
Yeah.
Was what, taking a page out of Marvel's book, what if Star Wars did that and made their own what if series and asked them if they was to reprise their roles, what episodes would you like to see?
Yeah.
So that was really awesome, to see what they would possibly do, because I would love to see a Star Wars What If personally, right?
Are you gonna tell us what they said?
Yes, I'm going to tell you what he said.
All
Building
right.
up. Got to build it up.
All
right, so
I'm dying.
First off, Ashley Eskin said that, who plays Ahsoka Tano, said, what if Ahsoka took Darth Maul's offer
Biased.
in The Phantom Apprentice in the end of Clone Wars?
Huh. Wow.
Yeah.
That would have been an unstoppable duo.
Yeah.
That would have been really cool.
Yeah, so what would have happened if that would have, occurred? Would Anakin have risen to power? What would have, occurred?
Yeah.
So,
He probably would have derailed from
Yeah.
his current mission. He would have probably had to choose between saving Padme and saving Ahsoka.
Yeah.
That would have been a cool point.
that would have been cool. So
Mm.
that was one. Another one was, what if Ahsoka stayed in the Jedi Order instead of leaving? I believe Obi-Wan actor said that. What if, that she stayed?
Yeah.
And she then says, well, then she would be dead.
Yeah. She would've got collapsed.
She would have been dead from Order 66 is what she said. So that was interesting as well. Another one, which super caught my eye, was when Obi-Wan, he said this. He said, what if Obi-Wan left the Jedi Order for Satine?
Dude, I feel like that's the ending he should have had.
Right, yeah.
Personally, chase his true love, man.
Right. Instead
Go
of her
for it.
dying, sadly.
They would have had some beautiful Force-sensitive babies, and I would have been like, that's Obi-Wan's baby. That's my own
the
baby.
girl who plays Ahsoka actually did say that. She was like, what if they had a love child from this? It was
That'd been
hilarious.
so cool.
But that would be awesome. And then the guy who plays Anakin said, what if Ahsoka joined Anakin and they ruled the galaxy as two Siths and killed Palpatine?
That would have been cool.
That would have been cool as well.
Holy.
So they said that as well. So that was the what if episodes that they talked about. Would be cool to see.
Yeah.
Obviously Clone Wars edition. So that's
Wow.
super awesome.
They gotta
and,
do it now. They gotta
do it. They would be
They
willing
basically
to.
just spoke it to existence.
So that'd be cool. All right, so then we got some questions about the upcoming series that what they'll be doing in the future, and that will be Tales of the Jedi. And the girl who plays Ahsoka said that this is going to be super exciting and really good and entertaining. Obviously, you get to see more me, herself, and Anakin interaction.
Yeah.
As well as more stuff that we've been as Star Wars fans been wanting to see for years. And she said you're going to be really hyped for the series.
Okay.
That's all she could say.
Yeah, I'm sure she couldn't say much because
right.
it hasn't even been officially confirmed. We
It's
know
been
there's
officially
leaks.
announced.
Okay,
Yes,
officially.
it's been officially announced. The trailer hasn't been released yet, but to the public, obviously I've seen it, but
Yeah.
it hasn't been released to the public. But yeah, she talked about that a little bit, and then we got some more insight about their Star Wars, how they got the roles, which was really cool. And actually, Ahsoka, we got some insight. The girl who played her actually auditioned for the role of Padme in Clone Wars.
Really?
But she sounded nothing like Natalie Portman, she said. So she didn't get that one. But they said that she might be good for a younger role that we have. And they actually wanted her to do an Icelandic accent for Ahsoka.
What?
And then she ended up,
I don't know how to do Icelandic.
she was doing Icelandic. She was trying her best to do one for
Icelandic.
the audition, but she said she was
not
horrible. And she said that the people that was auditioning said, are you doing it? And she went off and she said, I'm doing the best that I can. And then she said that was what, that's what sold her as Ahsoka. She's like, we want you. We don't even care about the Icelandic. We want you.
Really?
So I'm glad because she
Wow.
kills it as Ahsoka.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. And then of course, Anakin auditioned for a role but it was called something Darius Sky Killer or something like that.
Darius Sky Killer?
Or something like that. I can't remember, but then he said it ended up actually being Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
But he actually didn't get the role at first. It was actually a different actor who was Anakin, and then it was recasted to him.
Wow.
Because actually in the first couple of episodes in season 1 and the Clone Wars movie, it was the original voice actor for Anakin, but he dubbed it over. He redubbed it.
No way.
They placed it back in the movie.
Dude, Darius, what a legend.
Darius Skywalker or something like that. Something of that nature. So, and then
so funny.
James Arnold Taylor did actually audition for Obi-Wan. Knew he was auditioning for Obi-Wan, and they loved him, but they wanted a little bit different of a tone. So he tried to do a little bit of Ewan McGregor and then Alec Guinness, and then he mixed the both together to make the perfect Clone Wars voice that we get of Obi-Wan today.
Huh. Wow, that takes talent, dude.
It does. He's a very talented voice actor.
And were they speaking in their?
They did speak in their Clone Wars, not the whole time, obviously, because that would be difficult. But Obi-Wan probably did the most because I loved hearing him go, "I have the high ground," because he said that, and he started talking his voice, and he's like, "Anakin, you stupid!" It was hilarious,
Really?
like, "Anakin, why?"
That's so
it was
cool,
so funny,
dude.
and it was awesome seeing that. And then obviously we got Anakin, the voice actor, talking about how
Killing kids.
sand is coarse and rough and horrible. So that was great. But that was the Clone Wars Q&A. Super interactive, super hilarious. They all had great chemistry. So it was super cool to see that live and in person and just a few rows away. So that was really cool.
That's so cool.
Very
dude.
close.
It's cool to hear.
Next up, we have to talk about probably a fan favorite for a lot of you. And we talked about him very recently because there's been some rumors about him possibly being Professor X or Doctor Doom, and that being Giancarlo Esposito.
Let's go, man.
So I got sitting on his Q&A, and it was super hype. And I must say, I ran out of that auditorium feeling triumphant, feeling like I was ready for battle because man, did he preach and man, did he deliver because he was like full heart. He was so nice, so nice. I mean, obviously it's hard to tell with actors and how they are in real life, but he was a super, super nice guy, super loving, he actually cried on stage. And it was super emotional because someone in, one of the fan questions was like, you've meant so much and you play the villain role so well. In The Boys and The Mandalorian and Breaking Bad that we love you so much. And then he asked a question about like, how does it feel to be a villain? And then he actually teared up and he was saying, he's like, oh man, you got me emotional. And then everybody started to laugh a little bit and he's like, it's not funny. I'm actually crying. And he was, and he's like, man, it really means a lot to hear from you guys and to know how you feel about that because, I put my life into these roles. And I love these roles and I love playing these villains and these characters, and it means a lot to hear that. So that was really cool.
Wow.
And really emotional to see that from him. Because you wouldn't expect it from him.
I know. I would expect just like a staunch, very sarcastic, type
he was
of
super nice.
feel,
And
but-
seeing him in person made me realize he could play the hero role really well. Obviously it's hard to see when when we just see him act, but seeing him in person, seeing his demeanor and the way he talks, like I could see him playing a really good hero.
Yeah.
So I'd be excited that he's a very talented actor, very exciting. And some, first news for you guys. There was a question asked of if he would return as Moff Gideon or if he would return in a Moff Gideon Disney Plus solo project. And he said in a heartbeat. So he said absolutely he would love to return as Moff Gideon. He loves playing Moff Gideon and being part of the Star Wars universe. That was really cool. So a little exclusive for you guys.
Yeah.
To know that he would come back and he probably would love to.
Wow.
And obviously he couldn't talk about if he would or not.
Yeah, obviously he can't.
But he said he would love to.
Yeah.
If given the opportunity of his own show or whatever. And then to you Breaking Bad fans, obviously, we don't necessarily cover that, but if you're a Breaking Bad fan, then you might like to hear this. Obviously he plays Gustavo Fringe in Breaking Bad, which is considered one of the best TV villains of all time.
He's goated, man.
From what I've heard, I've personally never seen Breaking Bad, but I do plan on it, so don't hate me. I do plan on watching Breaking Bad, but he did say, like, he was asked if he would ever come back as Gustavo Fringe, whether a Breaking Bad movie or his own show based on him, and he said in a heartbeat again. He said he would love to come back as him as well. So that's awesome.
That's hype, dude.
So it's
I want to
awesome.
see him in The Boys.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah, more than The Boys.
More. Please give us something more, man.
But yeah,
That's
so that
cool,
pretty much includes, obviously, GalaxyCon was super, super amazing. Got some, rub shoulders with a lot of awesome people. And to see that go into fruition, I got to tell some people about Heroes in the Moment. So I hope that broadcast.
Dude,
So if you're listening, I appreciate you.
Gone up to the line. Hey, Mr. Esposito, my question for you today is, have you listened and downloaded to Heroes in the Moment?
I know. I should have gone up there.
Imagine.
I know, advertised for us.
That
But
would have been so lit.
it's all good.
That
But
would've been a douchebag
anyway,
move.
super awesome. So, quite a bit of news to cover, even though it was supposed to be like a little bit less news of a week, but we got quite a bit. talk about, from the MCU trademark titles to the Star Wars trademark titles to GalaxyCon. So that's super excited to share with you guys.
And also, one last thing before we go, and this is what I just saw today, and I got to add before we go in, but the Punisher is rumored to come back.
Yeah.
And the new Daredevil show.
Yeah.
John Bernthal coming back to reprise his role. So I'm hyped for that.
That's obviously super
And that's
exciting because
all
you love him as
basically-
well. So.
That he's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But
It's also been rumored he's going to get his own Disney Plus show as well. So I did hear that. So I
No
also
more
did
cuss
hear
word,
it
guys.
that it will be TVMA.
It better. I'm excited.
So
Let's go.
be
Anyway,
exciting for
that's
that.
all I had to add.
Yeah, super exciting
All right.
altogether.
If you guys like this episode, let us know. The downloads, the listens, they really mean a lot.
They
So
do.
thank y'all for the support. Here's in the Moment is available. It's on Spotify. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music,
Yeah.
anywhere you listen to podcasts. I promise
It's
it's
there.
on there. I know this is coming out Thursday
Yeah.
morning, right?
Yeah,
so our
Thursday.
next episode is going to be the Andor trailer. I assume.
breakdown. Yeah.
We're doing that Saturday.
It'll be coming out Saturday.
It'll be
Yeah.
Saturday morning
Yep.
in the AM. It just dropped, I think, today.
It did.
Right? It just dropped
So
today,
we're gonna break that
Monday.
down here in
So
a few minutes.
it looks amazing. We're about to
we're
break that
about to
down
break
for
it
you,
down,
record it.
Super
So
exciting.
check it out, man.
Yep. And also, if you're a DC fan, check out our recent podcast, DC League of Super Pets,
Facts.
where we break down that movie and give our full undisclosure thoughts about what we think of this movie and how good it
Good
is and
and
if it's
bad.
worth going to the theaters to see. So
Facts.
check that out as well. We just want to thank y'all for listening. And as always, we love you 2000.